Yo, hey folks, how's it going? Alright, I just want to take the time real quick to discuss one of my absolute favorite zombie subgenre films ever made. Alright, and this is an old school one because I am a fan of the old school zombies more so than the new school. And I mean, that's a rant altogether for another video, but I will say this. The new school zombies I'm not really too impressed by. Sure, a lot of people say, oh, well, they run fast and it's, it's a virus infection and it's realistic and it's intelligent. Blah, 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 womp, womp, womp. Okay, that's all I gotta say because it's been done to death. Okay, I think it's been more done to death this past decade than the slasher film subgenre was done in the 80s. And that's pretty bad. But anyhow, I digress. I prefer my zombies being ghouls that rise out of the fucking ground. I'm talking about out of the cemetery. Because, sure, infections and viruses are realistic and they are scary because that could happen. But really, come on. If you're in the area of a cemetery and you see things rising out of the fucking ground, you're going to poo-poo in your bridges. Alright? And that's all there is to it. So, with that said, this film is old school. It's one of my absolute favorite zombie films ever made, which I do have a lot of the old school ones I love. And I mean, love. Like anything by George Romero, the Italian ones, etc. But this one is a little fucking quirky gem from the year of 1985, and it's got so many good merits for it, and I'm about to explain why. But that film is, boom, The Return of the Living Dead. Badass cover. I've always loved it. The dead are back, they're back from the dead and they're ready to party, as the tagline says. And this movie is just that, a fucking party. It is F-U-N fun. And anyhow, the film concerns the plot about, there's this young guy named Freddy who just begins his first day at a job at a medical supply warehouse. Okay? While that's going on, his punk friends, and I mean I'm talking about punk all the way. Punk friends are partying next door in the cemetery, aptly named Resurrection Cemetery, and while they're waiting for him to get off work, because Freddy always knows where a party is, so they're waiting for him to get off work. So while he's working, his cohort and other supervisor shows him around the lay of the area, shows him, all the things that are stocked up in there. Everything from cadavers, split dogs, and skeletons, which all supposedly come from India. Anyhow, so while that's going on, they're in the office filling out some paperwork, and his older cohort / supervisor tells him, hey, Boyd, have you ever heard of the movie Night of the Living Dead? And Freddy's like, yeah, and he explains to him that that movie was based on a true story in the universe of this film, of course, and that they changed the facts around in the movie, but the bodies really did come to life in a hospital back in the 60s, and they shipped the bodies to the basement of this medical supply warehouse, which they're in some army tanks, of course, with do not open and emergency line, phone line on it. Anyhow, so to be seen to be believed, he goes down in the basement and shows Freddy these tanks. And accidentally, upon doing so, unleashes the toxic gas from these tanks, which starts the whole fucking shit hitting the fan in this film. Okay, the gas gets all over the medical supply warehouse, so we got split dogs are fucking barking, we got naked, bare-ass cadavers running around screaming, you got it all. And while this is going on, that gas that got released into the pipes into the building of the medical supply warehouse goes through the pipes and it comes out in the air, and there's a storm begins and it rains down all that toxicity onto the grounds of the cemetery where the punks are hanging out at partying. And that's when all hell breaks loose. That's when all the zombies and corpses and ghouls come out of the fucking ground. And there are many of them, and they scream and they talk and they run after your ass. And I point that out because a lot of people always think, oh, 28 Days Later created this running zombie, or the Dawn of the Dead remake. No, it didn't. And neither did Return of the Living Dead from 1985. It didn't create that. I mean, that's already been done in Bob Clark's Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. That's already from the early 70s. It's also been done in Nightmare City, which is an Italian zombie film as well, from the early 80s. But in this film, they did it to a great effect. And this movie has so many cool merits going for it that I'll explain. Okay, first off, you got an awesome cast in this and a bunch of cool-ass characters with fun dialogue, okay? So you can't beat that, okay? The punk characters in this rock. Also do the adult supervisor characters of the medical warehouse that show up after the shit hits the fan to try to clean up their mess. You got that going on. The zombies in it think, and they're intellectual, and they know how to try to get to you when they want to. I have to say that the character of Tarman, which is the zombie that when they open up the gas by accident and it gets all over the medical warehouse, which starts everything to go into, to get the ball rolling with the zombies coming out of the ground and everything. Tarman, that the corpse that's in that tub is Tarman, and it's a scary, scary sight. When I was a kid, it scared the shit out of me, and it still kind of is creepy to look at. I know if I saw that in real life, I'd fucking shit twice and die. But anyhow, the film has awesome fucking soundtrack. It's all done to the style of punk music from the early 80s in the LA scene. So it's got all this fast, ferocious, awesome punk music in it, setting the tone to the film, which is a big party. And also, aside from that, this film changed up the rules of the zombie subgenre a lot. You know, no longer can you just shoot them in the head and they're dead. No longer can you just like cut their head off and they're dead. No, these zombies are reanimated completely in the fact that you can chop them up in itty bitty little pieces and they still come after your ass somehow. Alright? There's no way to do it unless you decimate the town, unless you nuke it. Which this movie does have a bit of a nihilistic ending, but you know that's the universe they set up for and the rules they set up for these zombies in this film. But the movie's got a lot of great chase action sequences. It's got some great dialogue, great characters. It's just like I said, it's a boatload of fun from 1985. You can never go wrong with this film whatsoever. I know there are a lot of people that are brand new into the zombie subgenre because of like the likes of Dawn of the Dead and Resident Evil series and dare I say The Walking Dead. Okay, yeah, I'm not a fan of The Walking Dead, I'm not going to lie. Not because I think it sucks, it's just not my cup of tea. It's not my type of zombie anymore. I think the new zombie subgenre has been done to death completely, as I stated before. So this is still always a fresh breath of air. A breath of fresh air, my bad. Anyhow, but no, this film is a blast from start to finish, and it keeps you entertained throughout the whole entire thing. And also, it's got some decent gore. It's not really a gory zombie film in my opinion, but it's still got a lot of good brain-munching action, and it's got a lot of cool things going on for it. So that's my opinion on this film. It's one of my absolute favorites, Return of the Living Dead. And it's also, a lot of people don't know this, but it's written and directed by Dan O'Bannon, who wrote and created the original first Alien film that Ripley Scott directed, and therefore he created the character of Ripley that a lot of people are a fan of. Just want to point that out. So anyhow, that's Return of the Living Dead, and I just want to show one more little thing off real quick before I go. Okay, so I don't know if you're into the horror subgenre books, nonfiction books about the making of films and such. There's this book you need to check out about the Return of the Living Dead franchise because there's 5 films. I really consider the first 3 the real ones. The last 2 I don't, But anyhow, and that book is this: The Complete History of the Return of the Living Dead. This is an amazing, badass fucking book. Okay, just on your coffee table, on your shelf, whatever. But it's got all the juicy bits about the making of these films. It's got all the dirt of the problematic situations on the set of the first movie. It's got a lot of never before seen photos. It's got it's just it's just covered head to toe in a bunch of shit. Yeah, so it discusses all 5 films, but the biggest chapters are part one and part 2. Also, one little thing I want to throw out as well. The actress, Scream Queen Linnea Quigley, who was also this is her biggest film, I believe, mainstream film, and she plays a punk character named Trash, who I fucking love. I quote her all the time because she rocks. But more importantly, she does become a zombie in this film, and she's kind of real ghoulish and scary looking. Or at least when I was a kid, she was. But she just looks cool now to me. But anyhow, yeah, I love the characters in this movie. I love the soundtrack. I love the action. I love the dialogue. And the style of the zombies themselves is aces in my book. So if you ever have a chance to check out Return of the Living Dead, say on Netflix streaming or something like that, you gotta check it out. You will not be disappointed. I sure as hell am not. Anyhow, peace.